basically there's 4 gold piles here, 4 and 4, so that's a total of 8. Whereas the extra golds only have 3 piles in them, which means that MbL's gold is technically bugged because it's trapped. So we need to restart this game.
Oh, yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah, they both do have 3. I thought one of them had 4, but his secondary gold piles, yeah, both of them trapped in the trees. So it looks like game 2, round 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, like,
We're
just
gonna do it
message
again,
him.
guys, with gusto.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. Oh, okay. MbL doesn't care that his map is bugged. I messaged him on Verbally saying, MbL, yo, you know your map is bugged, you can call a restart. He's like, yeah, I don't care. So, MbL, like, just gonna play on, even with this bugged map right here.
Well, I was gonna take the Spartan approach and just say, screw it, man, we'll do it live. As the bug map doesn't really bother him. It's not, you know, like, it's not a huge amount of gold. At least he still has 3 separate deposits. He's gonna be down a total of 1,600 gold, which is quite a bit, but it could be a lot worse. He certainly has a chance in this situation, and, well, perhaps he'll be able to chop into those gold mines in that little pocket later. We'll have to see.
Yeah, basically, it's not the end of the world for MbL here, because he has his main gold still, which is, like, there's a lot of gold there. He also has these extra gold piles on the left side, which is lucky. Now, if they'd spawned on the other side, then I'm pretty sure he'd want to call a restart in that in that situation. In this situation, though, by the time he's, like, Imperial and got Siege Onager, at that point, he's probably still not going to be ran out of gold, so he could easily cut through and access those gold piles that way, like you say. But in this situation, like, MbL, like, really just says, like, you know, I don't care. I don't actually care. It can be, the map is bugged, whatever, man. I'll just go for it anyway. Maybe now, perhaps regretting that, as it looks like things are about to go pretty bad underneath this town center. He never went and collected those turkeys up to the north of his base, and the last turkey's about to run out, whilst the boar is running back. Oh dear.
So, NBL's map is sort of a trade-off. He's losing 1,600 gold here in the late game, which, unless this game really drags, that might be inconsequential. We'll have to see. But it kind of evens out a little bit. At least it's a trade-off, because there are 6 extra boars for MbL. That is a ridiculous amount of extra boars, and I don't believe, actually, that 8th Wonder has any. I think he only has the standard 2. Luring that in is going to give him a huge early game boost unless he happens to just run out of food supply, as one of the trade-offs he makes is by using his scout to lure the boar. Should it release and he doesn't grab the other turkeys with the scout, there can be a little bit of idle time.
Yeah, he had to build a couple of farms there. His village is falling a little idle. In this situation, though, like, the extra boar here, they're not going to be too useful now, because MbL kind of screwed up the first boar lure, which kind of means that he's not got enough health on his scout to go and take another one. He would have liked to have taken 2 of the 3, but because his scout failed the first one, he can only take 1 now, otherwise his scout would just die. We've been focusing a lot on MbL, actually. Like, there's been too much stuff going on at this point. We should have a look at 8th Wonder's side of the map. It doesn't look like he has any extra boar or anything like that, but it seems to me like 8th Wonder not off to the best start, if you consider that he's 2 villages behind, but he's going up to the fuel age really quickly here, which is interesting.
Yeah, so we might see that sort of Castle Age play with the Siege Workshop, and getting up to the Castle Age first allows you to get the first couple of shots, but at least in the last 1v1 Black Forest that we saw, it turns out that being just a little bit faster than your opponent doesn't always matter that much, and when we do compare the maps of both players, each of them do indeed have 2 relics, with one of them lodged up in the middle of a forest pocket in the top right side, so things relatively even. It's a shame that MbL was not able to get too many lures with the boar. He only managed to get 1 extra one of that, and we're on our way to the fuel age.
Yeah, Eighth Wonder here, of course, being the Aztecs. This is why I was like thinking for a second. Hang on a minute, he's going up like on 24 vills. Of course, he's the Aztecs. That is why. The Aztecs, of course, have such a strong eco. They don't need to go up with quite so many villagers as other civs do in order to still be able to pull off a very good fast castle. Eighth Wonder here should be up to castle fairly comfortably. His food income just about to hit 800 in a second. There you go, perfect stuff. And he'll be up to castle before MbL actually reaches the feudal age here. MbL now significantly further behind, but he will be going up to the castle age with more villagers. At this point, it looks like Eighth Wonder will be playing, I imagine, fairly aggressively in the center of the map. He's sending quite a lot of villagers out to gold. That's 5, and so we can expect to see a double siege workshop play from him as well. I'm going to turn the chat off because it's really distracting me at this point.
Yeah, I just did that myself, and I agree. I think that we will see some very aggressive play from Eighth Wonder here. Several Gold Miner gives it away, as well as just that extremely, early feudal and castle time. This is actually a fairly significant difference in uptimes here, so it might play a huge role. We'll have to see, as MbL definitely going to be the one playing a bit more defensively here, is going to be building some stone walls to go block off the center and hopefully stall off this heavy Castle Age aggression that's on his way.
Yeah, these guys having a bit of banter in the chat as well. I always find it so amusing when players trash talk each other midway through the game. Like, it's just... I don't know, I wonder if they get inside each other's heads a little bit. Interestingly enough, MbL not actually taking any gold here. So, I'm really intrigued as to what he is doing. Just 2 villagers on stone and loads of wood. It makes me think he's going to just throw down 2 TCs really quickly, and maybe even throw down a 3rd TC, which is dangerously passive when you consider that Eighth Wonder does seem to be looking for that maybe Monk and Mangonel kind of play. But, in the same breath, Eighth Wonder here, with his scout, he can see that there's loads of walls coming up for MbL, and so he might not actually bother investing in that siege workshop at the end of the day, because he knows that MbL is just going to keep walling behind this, and it might be a little bit of a difficulty for him to get through.
Yeah, no, I said earlier that generally to 1v1 Black Forest, we don't see 50 layers of stone walls and both players booming up, but Eighth Wonder putting his scout in exactly the right position is going to recognize this and then transition properly into a boom of his own. So, Eighth Wonder gonna back off a little bit here. It's really interesting that we see, MbL selling 100 stone and not getting loom. That way he gets the 200 gold needed to get to the Castle Age. Gonna go snag Bowsaw, put down 1 TC, but Eighth Wonder in the lead right now as he has 2 town centers to, well, he's 2 extra town centers to the only 1 extra of MbL.
Yeah, and MbL's spending quite a little bit of stone on these walls. I imagine that MbL here will go up to 4 TCs eventually. But I do feel like this puts the Aztecs in a very strong position, because the Aztecs, with a very good economy, are going to be able to get to the Imperial Age in a fantastically fast time, and then just pressure those walls really quickly. The thing is, if he can get through fast enough, then the Aztecs are going to have a great advantage. But if MbL stalls him and stalls him and stalls him, then we've seen it before. The Celt player can also do really very well if they can counterattack and start raiding with Woad Raiders. So I'm tripping over my words and all sorts. I'm really tired right now.
It's no worries. I think so far everything has been going great. The Woad Raiders are an interesting point because they do match up very favorably against Elite Eagle Warriors, so that makes them even more potent when raiding. And one thing that I really like about how Eighth Wonder is playing this is that he was mining really heavily on gold because he was thinking at least about going aggressive with the forward siege workshops, but he puts that gold to good use, doesn't waste it. He used his market around the time when he got to the Castle Age to buy 200 food and 100 wood to sort of, jumpstart his economy, allow him to put down the double town centers, sustain his villager production. No pennies going to waste here, as Eighth Wonder also going to go snag those relics first.
Yeah, obviously those relics are going to be awesome for him since he's the Aztecs, and he'll get the relic gold bonus as well. It was also doing wheelbarrow right now, and this is the thing, like the Aztecs, they I mean, he will be Imperial so fast compared to MbL, I think. It depends if MbL goes for 3 TCs or not. Indeed, he's actually gone for 4, taking the boar on the left side. Look at that. He's going to build a TC down there just for the additional boar in this situation. But I really do think that 8th Wonder will be a lot faster to Imp. And not to mention the fact that those extra villages on the gold, sure, they'll just gather the 800 gold required to go up to Imp, and then he could even transition them somewhere else. But better off just saving the gold, keeping the gold piling up at this point, so that when he does get to Imp, he can afford to build a, well, he could upgrade to Siege Onager, or if he has enough for a castle, he can immediately throw out some trebs with the extra gold he has available.
Yeah, 8th Wonder setting himself up nicely for some siege workshop play and whatnot in the Imperial Age, and I just really like to see that both players here are making great use of their resources. As yeah, MbL with the town centers on the left corner of the map, gonna still snag all of those boars, and he's gonna need every little bit of help that he can get. While both players do have 3 gold mines, with 2 little tiles missing for MbL, taking advantage of those boars will kind of even it out, and 8th Wonder, by putting down a siege workshop, he's got his 2 buildings needed to go to Imp. He's getting ready.
Oh yeah, he'll be there in like, wow, so fast. 23 minutes, he'll be clicking up. 8th Wonder gonna be blazing fast. And MbL, he's up to 5 TCs now, which is huge. Just look at how little food MbL has. He's, he's spending so much on villagers. He's got a big villager lead, 9 extra villagers at this point. But he is so slow to the Imperial Age in comparison. So he's pumping everything he's got into economy at this point, neglecting to go Imp for a while, and hoping that he's going to have a massive, superior economy, which he can hopefully use to his advantage. And it's the kind of thing we've seen MbL do in the past. I've seen MbL go up to 180 villagers before. I almost said 800 then. Go up to 180 vills and just use all the surplus resource to sell at the market. So he's going to build a 6 TC now. Seems like he's planning something similar this time as well.
Wow, that is a very, very greedy boom. And we'll have to see if it pays off, as right now, I like 8th Wonder's approach just a little bit more. I especially like that he's making good use of the market too, and by buying a little bit of extra food and, having all that extra gold stockpile, his Imperial Age timing is going to be crazy fast. And normally, a aggressive forward castle like this just turns into trebuchet fodder, unless you are, in the Imperial Age well before, several minutes before your opponent. And with Sanctity coming out, Redemption, a bunch of upgrades, 8th Wonder setting himself up to put on some serious pressure, and with some Siege Onagers, these walls could be completely ignored. MbL a little bit behind right now.
Well, I think the problem with Siege Onagers is that they're a little bit slow. To get Onager and Siege Onager, not only does it cost a ridiculous amount of resources, but it also takes quite a lot of time. It seems like 8th Wonder, he's going to try and bust these walls down as fast as he can. And like we said earlier on, it's really important that he takes these walls out quickly before MbL can catch up and take advantage of his much larger economy. Currently, MbL doing a fortified wall, and he's just going to try and wall up this as best he can, but those rams are on their way forwards, and capped ram is coming up as well right now. Will MbL be able to keep 8th Wonder out? That is the question as he clicks up to the Imperial Age.
Well, he's doing a reasonable job so far. 8th Wonder, you're right, is going to be opening up with the Rams and Monk combo first. Of course, he needs the Monks at the back to support this, so that way he can stop MbL from building more layers of walls. He needs a ranged unit there to go keep those villagers occupied, and that's why the block printing upgrade, a great choice, adding an extra 3 conversion range. Still, though, MbL doing a great job stalling through this. Siege Ram coming up for 8th Wonder. MbL on his way up to the Imperial Age. Well, these walls are going to hold for a while, but I'm not exactly sure how long they're going to hold, as even with the walls going up, 8th Wonder is making the first few trebs, and this castle already being threatened.
stalling. That is what MbL has to do right now, and that is what he is doing. The problem is this gold is pretty far forwards, and Siege Ram is now done for 8th Wonder. My goodness me, 8th Wonder here, down by about 33 villagers at this stage, but applying so much pressure to these castles and this wall. It looks like he's about through, and MbL going to be making some Woad Raiders as those rams approach the castle. And of course, those Woadies will be used to hopefully take the siege ram down. That's what his plan is, anyway.
Something that's really interesting is that even though 8th Wonder is in, he doesn't actually have much in the realm of military units. Like, he really doesn't have any. I mean, he's putting down a barracks now, but he just has, like, monks and trebuchets and a siege ram, so the castle going down for MbL is absolutely huge, but 8th Wonder, even though he's opened up the walls, hasn't really been able to actually apply the killing blow yet.
Not yet, and I think his plan really is to take down these castles as fast as possible and stop MbL making those Woad Raiders, because it's pretty obvious that MbL is going to be going for Woadies in this situation, and the problem here is that MbL's been pushed away from that front stone, so he's only left with the stone at the rear of this TC, and I'm worried, because if he loses another castle, he's really going to struggle making Woad Raiders this game, and they are going to be so important to his game overall.
Yeah, this has been a reoccurring trend throughout the tournament where players want to go for their very powerful, unique unit in the Imperial Age once they have enough castles. However, once they lose a couple of castles, being able to produce Woad Raiders, in this case, is going to be extremely difficult. Elite Road Raider coming down, but that's his only castle. He cannot continue producing military units in the meantime, and this is giving 8th Wonder ample opportunity to mass up some monks, tech into two-handed swordsmen, which I think is a great choice here. Eagle Warriors do not match up favorably against the Woads, and while Jags are an option, they're a little slow. I like this two-handed swordsman play.
Yeah, I think champions as a whole, because they're a lot more cheaper on the gold, it allows you some more gold to spend on upgrades, such as garland walls and other upgrades for your units. So currently, these two-handed swordsmen here, with +5 attack and fully upgraded on the defense with +4 defense. And these castles, for MbL, they're going down about as fast as he can put them up, and that is a huge problem. Losing this TC, and I really fear that MbL may have tried to overboom a little bit here, and as a result, he's in a really awkward position at the moment.
Yeah, MbL had to buy 600 stone at the market since he's losing all those castles, and that is bad news bears for him, as the military units coming in here, 8th Wonder going to build some more forward barracks, and when you're depending this much on producing elite Woad Raiders and you don't have any castles, that's a great ticket to lose, as he needs to transition into something else, but it's probably too late. This Woad Raider plan not going to work out, and with this last castle going down, MbL is in incredibly bad shape.
Tut. MbL, what are you doing, man? He's just relying on the Woad Raiders too much, and at this point, with this third castle, or fourth castle now, I've lost count, gonna be going down, and a huge number of champions fully upgraded already out onto the field. Even if MbL now comes and attacks with all of his Woad Raiders, he's still going to lose because he just doesn't have the upgrades on these units at this point. He's working on getting them now, but honestly, the sheer numbers here and the monks supporting this army, surely this cannot end well for MbL.
And it certainly won't, as 1,200 stone purchased for MbL. That's a great way to destroy your economy, and with no relics actually in the monastery either, and with a little bit of, fewer gold mines, MbL absolutely falling apart here. It just goes to show the value of being able to adapt your strategy, transition into other units based off the situation, and 8th Wonder adapting fantastically here, and MbL still sticking to that Woad Raider plan, barely able to keep a single castle up. Gonna build a new one with 1,700 stone purchase. Oh, wow. They're just gonna get trebbed down.
MbL is buying his castles now, and considering he has less gold on his side of the map due to the map being bugged, and MbL not willing to call a restart, which he could have done for free, is now in a position where he really cannot afford to be buying stone. The cost of stone at this point is 244 gold for 100 stone, which is definitely not a very good deal, and considering MbL is losing these castles incredibly incredibly quickly. This is just looking horrendous. The fight that we just saw as well, MbL got shredded to mincemeat as those monks now heal up all of the units back to full health. Oh my goodness. How is MbL gonna stop this? I feel like he needs onagers at this point, but he just doesn't have the resources for it.
Yeah, he has no answer to these trebuchets. The Woad Raiders will simply just get converted, they'll get gunned down by the champions in the castle. He needs something, and this lone trebuchet is not enough. MbL is not able to get an army fast enough, these champs get to move in, and while Woad Raiders, match up, about evenly to champions, the thing is you can mass up champions so much quicker, and the Aztec champions are super strong. And as a result, MbL gonna call it game as the Woad Raider plan not working out.
That was ridiculously well played by 8th Wonder there. My goodness me, he played that so well. His Imperial Age time was blazing fast. The upgrades on those champions were done incredibly quickly. And of course, just pushing in there with just a few trebuchets and a couple of rams, supported by a handful of monks, and MbL absolutely crumbling under the pressure. And of course, that much faster Imperial time, the main driving factor there for 8th Wonder's victory, I feel. And, maybe if 8th Wonder hadn't been able to break these walls down as quickly, and MbL had been able to hold him off for a few minutes longer, that could have been a completely different story altogether. But yeah, with that Garland Wars done on those champions as well, MbL needed something big, and he just couldn't afford to go onager at that stage.
Yeah, Garland Wars just shredding right through those Woad Raiders, just kind of tilting that matchup completely in his favor. And I agree, I think the faster Imperial Age was the deciding factor. 8th Wonder just showing his ability to adapt, and he did that so very well that game, scouting out the very defensive wall up, using his market to go bolster his economy with all the gold he stockpiled previously for mangonels. 8th Wonder putting on one hell of a show. I can't wait to see Game 3.
Oh yeah, Game 3 will be interesting because it's going to be 8th Wonder's home map as well. And at this point, 8th Wonder has won 2 games already. So if 8th Wonder wins the next game now, he will win this series. And with the next game being on his home map, obviously he's going to choose a map that is preferable to him and perhaps